Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PixcelCast. This is a semi-regularly podcast where I chat with people who interest me and who probably interest you as well. My name is Pixcelation, and with me tonight is the one, the only EverTrua. How you doing, Trua?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing pretty good, actually. I am, I am 950-something episodes deep into One Piece, and I am a mess. But it's the best kind of mess that I think you can be at this point.
Oh yeah.
That's basically been my life for the past week. I have not been able to go anywhere because my car is messed up. So I have spent every waking moment when I'm not at work on the computer watching this damn show. But see, here's the thing: is I have a theory that, like, as soon as I catch up, then I can do other things. That never ends up being true. But hey, we'll see eventually, won't we? But thank you in advance for making the time to come on here and chat with me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So we have you got a fair amount of questions, and also just kind of if you're in chat and you're new to the PixcelCast, ask your questions. If you have any questions, throw them in chat. If they seem relevant, I'll ask them. If not, then don't hate me. I don't want to ask questions that might make the guest uncomfortable or anything. But like if they have something to do with what we're talking about, then I'll throw them in there every now and then. But yeah, so I guess starting off, I ask every guest this because it's just the funniest thing to me still, 3 years into this show. It's an easy question. Totally one of the most easiest questions you can ask a person. In your own words, who are you?
Oh, okay, so perfect. My name is EverTrua, or I just go by Trua or T or True. I'm a Thick Orca VTuber, and honestly, I'm going to be celebrating my 1 year on streaming in 10 days.
Oh, shit. So,
yes.
Perfect timing.
So excited.
That's really neat. I honestly, I love the, how would I put that? I love the concept of VTubers. I've been kind of in the periphery of the scene since it really kicked off. I wouldn't say it started in 2020, but that's when everybody decided, hey, we're gonna be stuck at home for a while, might as well start VTubing.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, you are one of the most interesting VTubers out there because, in addition to, we collabed a few weeks back with the Doki Doki Literature Club, and you sent me your PNG, your Fugitech PNG, as the one that you see on screen right now for those of you who are watching. And how it's just a whale, and I love that it's just oh yeah, I'm just gonna be a whale. I love that, right? And so I find you to be one of the more interesting VTubers out there. One, I don't see a lot of whales out there. Maybe there are, and I just haven't seen them. But you're the only whale VTuber that I know about, right? But yeah. But also, you have become this kind of positive voice for the community. I've seen a lot of really just uplifting, motivational stuff come across your Twitter. And I'm curious, when you were creating your VTuber persona, was that something that you kind of wanted or planned for, to kind of be an inspirational voice, or was it something that kind of happened accidentally for you?
So I've always been a really outspoken and bold person, and one of the things I wanted to do was just, when you go online especially, there's so much crazy stuff happening on the internet, so I just wanted to lead by example. And honestly, I feel like I grew with this community. As I grew into it, I grew up with it. So it's more or less as you see things that are happening around you, you see certain things that you agree with and then certain things you don't agree with. And then you're just okay, well, I'm just going to not do what everybody else is doing. I'm going to forge my own path. And I felt like that was really important for me to do. And I wasn't expecting to be an inspirational person at first. It was more or less I'm just going to do my own thing, and hopefully people will like me for who I am. And surprisingly, it works.
Yeah, that's definitely, so, me being a YouTuber, I guess you could say. I haven't made a video in like 6 months, so I guess you still want to call me a YouTuber. One thing I've noticed is that I've always had a problem with like kind of trying like intentionally, overtly trying to get an audience, right? And it was one of those things where like I quit several times because I just wasn't able to tap in, and I still haven't tapped in. But I've noticed, you're right that like it's you. How would I put this? Like one thing I've noticed as a creator is that like when you're trying to like form an audience, it never works. It only really works whenever you're not trying. Have you ever, like, is that something that you could relate with in terms of like? Have you noticed? Did you ever have a phase when you were in the creation process where you were like, intentionally trying to build an audience, or was it more something that just I think you might have said something about how you kind of stumbled into it.
Yeah, no, I really did. So, when I first started this, it's funny to think about now because it's so much has happened. But I started out as a V-Roid, and I honestly was social media and social networking before I even started streaming for about a month or two. And that was before I even debuted or anything. Like, I had my model ready, and I was like, I'm just going to social network before I debut, because I didn't even have OBS or anything set up like that. I didn't even know what I was going to do. But I was like, I'm just going to take pictures of my model and post them on Twitter and see what people do. And before I knew it, I had hundreds and hundreds of people following me on Twitter and then following me on Twitch before I even debuted. And I'm like, I don't even know how. I got like 300 followers on Twitch, like, I think a week before I debuted. And I was like, that's insane. Like, that's wild. And then at my debut, I think I had 50 people, which I mean is pretty big for somebody who's new.
Right.
So I was like, and honestly, it was the most scuffed thing of my life. I was terrified. I didn't want to talk to anyone. Because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
But it's an insane amount of pressure, especially like when when you first start. But I wasn't trying to build an audience. It was more or less like I had one, and I was like, how do I keep it?
Right.
You know?
That has to be like that's the thing is you hear a lot of people talk about the stress of kind of the beginnings, but I don't really see a lot of people talking about the stress of like when you actually have built an audience, yeah. Because you could easily lose it as much as you could, if you don't, like, for example, I'm probably not ready for one because of the fact that like I can go 6 months without posting anything for a while, just because stress and anxiety, but like, there are people out there who have, gained 50,000 followers on whatever platform, and it's like they freeze up, and you kind of have to continue the content, farm, which is, I think, is why I like streaming so much, because it, you can just push the live button and just go, you don't really, like, yeah, it helps to like, prepare and plan stuff, but like, theoretically, you could just say, okay, I'm going to play this game, I'm going to stream, and just hit the live button and just let it go.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, with YouTube, it's like you kind of have to plan it out, you got to, like, script it sometimes, you got to, record, edit, it's like, it's just so much. But the, not to say there's, anything easier or harder, that's not what I'm trying to suggest, but it's like there's a different planning process behind each kind of medium, if you will. One thing I definitely wanted to congratulate you on that note is that you're not even a year into it, and you already have 46,000 followers on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like Jesus, what? Like that has to be overwhelming to some degree, huh?
Oh, very much so, because you really have to like watch everything that you're basically living in a fishbowl at that point when you have that many people watching you, especially on Twitter. And Twitter, as you know, is a public platform, so it's very difficult to kind of put your thoughts out there, and you have to remember that like your social media is your billboard, so anything that you put on there, whether it's opinion or otherwise, is going to be basically everyone's direct opinion of you.
Right.
One of the things that I have noticed, though, is especially, like, for new people that are, like, looking to, like, grow their channel, a lot of it has to do with people, like, bigger people following you.
Right. So kind of kind of an issue of who you know, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, or like whose eye do you catch? Because I remember like the first month that I had started, Alara followed me, and that I think was what really opened the door to a lot of these other bigger VTubers being like, "Oh, she's cool. We're gonna follow her because Alara follows her."
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. Like, and also, I mean, like, I will say, you probably don't need to be told this, but yeah, that probably helps. But I think that one thing that caught my eye anyway, whenever I first found you, was that your model is really aesthetically pleasing. Like I love the black and white contrast with your hair. Like that is like something I've always found interesting, and I think that like, that does help that you have a very well-made model, and I think it really and also you just have a sense of humor. So like I have to appreciate that. So, but that being said, so one thing that I wanted to talk to you about is, I'm sure you're aware, we mentioned this earlier, that the VTuber scene has absolutely skyrocketed since the Panini began. And I'm wondering, like, what are your thoughts on, like, the meteoric rise of something that we really didn't see much of before 2020? Like I'm sure we saw some, obviously Keys and I was kind of like one of the first, if not the first, and then there were probably a handful in between then and 2020, but then 2020 hit, everybody was at home, we all kind of just like decided, okay, I'm gonna do this either as a hobby or as a career. So what are your thoughts on the meteoric rise of VTubing as a phenomenon?
Yeah, perfect. So I'm gonna be 100% honest. When I was like, I've been on the computer like my whole life, like on the internet. I didn't know anything about like VTubers or anything for like even like the last 5 years. I didn't know anything about it. Like I've never heard of Iron Mouse, never heard of, Girl DM or like the bigger ones, like I was just like, I had no idea who these people were. And because I wasn't immersed in that, but then I had a friend in 2020 who was like, or no, it was 2020, I think it was 2021. She was like, hey, I'm gonna be a VTuber because like I think since the pandemic everybody was home, nobody wants to sit around and just be depressed. And honestly, with everybody being able to work from home and or being laid off or fired from their jobs because people can't afford to keep them, this gave people an opportunity to earn money but also content create on the side, whether they had a full-time job working from home or they didn't have income. This was another ability for them to keep busy and not stressed about the pandemic, but also give them more opportunities and open up more avenues for careers. And it's amazing to see that gaming is like a legitimate, and just streaming in general is just a career now.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely something I would agree with, and it's really interesting to me too because like I have never really felt the need to like go in that direction, right? But like like I do have a PNG just because of YouTube stuff. So what I've done in the past is like in the more recent past is like I've put that as a backup. Like if I don't feel like being on camera, right, then I'll put that I'll put that as my kind of representation. And going off of that, one thing I've found really interesting about VTubing is that it allows people who are camera shy to still do this. It allows people who are not comfortable being what I like to call a flesh tuber, essentially. Is like, people who are not comfortable with that, they can, there's no barrier, basically, now. It used to be.
Well, yeah, and I've noticed, like, especially in, like, the face cam streaming community, like, there's a lot of, like, animosity about, like, what you look like and who you are, and, like, if you're not aesthetically pleasing or visually pleasing to the eye, like, you're gonna have less viewers, and that's really frustrating, and this honestly gives people of all shapes, sizes, whatever, a platform to have that chance.
Right, right, of course. Yeah, that's one thing I dealt with from a young age. I actually was, when I was like in high school, I posted a video of me doing a cover of I Will Follow You Into the Dark from Death Cab, and these two rather prominent, I won't say their names because I don't want to invite that on me, but there was these two prominent people in that community who were like basically mocking me for my weight. and I deleted my channel as a result because I was very not good with confidence back then, and so that's definitely something that I like. You can that's the thing people don't realize is that you can say the wrong thing to the wrong person and they can just say, okay, fine, I'm just not gonna do this anymore, and you can possibly ruin their dreams,
Yeah.
and that's just not okay. And it's like, it goes back to the whole anonymity factor. People think that because they can hide behind a screen name that you can say whatever you want and it has no repercussions, but more and more you're seeing people like being held accountable for what they're saying and what they're doing on the internet, which I think is honestly a good thing. But yeah, so what would you say is like the best thing about being a VTuber and the worst?
Okay. We'll do the best thing first.
Okay.
So the best thing about being a VTuber is you can be whoever you want to be. There's several bests to this, and I'll touch on each one. But like, you can be whoever you want to be. Like, I can sit in a Discord call with a fox, a demon, a fish, and a mermaid, and a bunny, and nobody questions it. Nobody cares, But I can also, look at somebody else, and it also just, a lot of these people I've noticed have like social anxiety. So it's kind of like, oh, you're this, why are you this? So it kind of like eliminates those barriers of like social anxiety.
Right.
Like you can reach out to somebody and gives talking points to other people, where it's like, you're standing at a grocery store and you want to say hi to someone, but you don't know where to start. I'm really glad that it gives that people more ability to open up and possibly network, to even make friends.
Right.
My other thing is like the friendship aspect. With VTubing, it's limitless because you have the entire world at your doorstep. It's not like, oh, you can only hang out with these people because they're 15 minutes away. They're online all the time, so it's like you can be with these people as much as you want, and it's just a push of a message.
Right.
And you can reach everyone.
Yeah, that's one thing I like. In my direct life, my keys are on a lanyard that I got from an anime convention, right? And I have like these like anime characters on my keychains and stuff like that. And I've noticed that like that's done wonders in public whenever, because it's kind of hard to like, as an anime fan, it's kind of hard to just go up to random people and start talking about anime, because you never know, one, do they watch it at all, and two, is what is their threshold? Like, I'm not gonna go to a Pokemon fan.
It's so hard to make friends in person.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not gonna go to like a Pokemon fan and be like, hey, did you watch Chainsaw Man? But like but that being said, I've noticed that like having those keychains is like a way for me as a socially awkward person to get that green light. It gives them that green light too.
Yeah.
Like, they see it on me, they're like, oh, obviously it's kindred spirits.
Yeah, like this person's cool. Like they're wearing like a Naruto shirt or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. But I've noticed like even at cons where there's like a lot of like-minded people, it's still so hard to reach out.
Absolutely, 100% it is. Yes, because it's even at cons, even though that the other person probably has the same interests as you, it's like there's something there that's just like stopping us,
Exactly. Yeah. So I think VTubing helps a lot with that, because we have like the safety net of, first off, being in the comfort of our own places, whether you're at home or wherever, but also just like you said, just hiding behind something that not hiding, but masking yourself with something that keeps you safe, like a safety blanket, like your character.
That sounds about right. So what about the worst?
Oh God, there's a few. And I'm sorry that I have to get into this. I'm gonna do my best to not give as much detail, but kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I had an experience last night where sometimes VTubers will involve others into your drama. And let's say like you're not involved at all, like at all, and they will DM you, and you'll have two people coming at you saying, oh, he said this, she said this, and it's like, at this point, like, I'm about to block both of you, because A, I'm not in this, B, I don't care, C, you need to solve it on your own. But then some people, one person will get it, but then the other person will try to guilt trip you. but then also keep reaching out. And then it gets to the point where they're becoming toxic to your mental health because they're guilting you. And I had somebody donate money to me yesterday saying like, "Oh, I have nowhere else to go, blah 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 blah. Like I'm done with life basically." And I was like, "Okay, this is I rejected the donation and I was like, "We're not doing this." So unfortunately that's a downside of being a VTuber is, and you know, you might be somebody's comfort character and they might cling on to you a little too much. And they, you know, if they do something that's kind of messed up in the community and you have to like protect your community, you know, sometimes unfortunately you do have to cut those ties and you do have to make those difficult decisions to do so. And I think that's something that people don't talk about much.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a thing. And like, you know, I've seen a lot of stuff in the last few years about like, you know, parasocial relationships and like people watching on to these creators, even though they, you know, like in most cases they have no idea who these people are. You know, like it's like they're sure y'all are thankful for the fans, but like y'all don't know these people, y'all are not their friends, and you know, for them to latch on to you like they're your friends is unhealthy as shit, you know.
Yeah, well, I make it a point for myself, like, when people come into my streams, like, I want you to feel at home.
Right.
I don't want you to feel like you have social anxiety. I want you to forget everything, like, when you're there that bothers you, whatever. I want you to be there in the moment. We are friends. We're good. Now, my whole thing is, like, you can come hang out with me in my VC. I'm usually in Discord, so you can come hang out with me. But it depends on person to person on where our individual relationship is.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like, there are certain people that I consider in my circle, and then there's people that are like acquaintances, and then there's people that I don't know that I'm nice to because you're in my community and you're a fan. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of like going inward, outward. But the people that are fans sometimes think like, oh, I'm in that circle, and that's not usually the case.
Right.
So I do my best to try to treat everyone the same, especially. But there's a fine line when, you know, I reach out, like somebody reaches out to me like, hey, can I help you? And it's like, I'll give them the best piece of advice that I can give them, but at that point it's out of my hands. I can't do anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the only thing.
At the end of the day, you are only one person, and you really can't, you know, be expected to carry the weight of, you know, the things that you've been forced to carry the weight of, and that, or you know, it's not fair to you. It's not fair to even them, you know. But
yeah.
So like, going on. So go ahead.
No, you're good.
Oh.
One other thing that I would say, especially about being on Twitter, is just Twitter drama, just in general, you know. You can't say certain things, you can't do certain things, and you just kind of have to stay in your own lane. Some people will try to drag you into stuff, and like I said, you just have to stay out of it.
Right. It's kind of like I've seen people who like get like tweets that blow up, and it's they'll be like, okay, this tweet is gone out of my audience, I'm done, and they mute it and then just leave it alone.
Yeah, some people's true colors really do come out like when the opinion posts start coming around.
Oh, right.
That's when you start realizing, okay, these are the people you want to kind of keep an eye out.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, that's, you know, there's a lot of people, especially nowadays, it feels like, who do a really, really good job of kind of, you know, masking who they actually are. And then the fame comes, and then it's like, oh, they don't have to mask anymore, so they don't. And then you realize, oh, shit, this is a kind of a cretin. And I'm just like, it's not a hard thing to go through life without being an asshole. And so many people make me doubt that.
Yeah, and the last thing I will say, the worst part about doing this is, well, it's a lot of hard work. It's very self-motivated. If you're not doing it, it's like if you're not doing it for a career, it's fine, you know, but if you're doing it like me, like full time, like you are making, like this is your livelihood, it's rough because, you know, income's very up and down. It's very seasonal. It changes literally with the weeks. Right. So it just depends. One other thing though, that I want to touch on is, it was just on the tip of my tongue, is the fact that there's sometimes that you'll have viewers who will try to troll you, but try to bait you into doing the wrong thing, if that makes sense. I've seen some people get followed by certain names that are kind of TOS, if that makes sense. Like certain ones, like I'm friends with a really good friend of mine gifts subs to horrible names, and I love them because they're not bad names, but there are certain people that'll like follow people with like and try to get people to say like, you know, terrible terms, if that makes sense,
right.
Like slurs, and it's like we don't want that, and some people will take that stuff too far. Like one of my friends actually got baited, had 2 redeems put together. She had a dark elf mode, and then they did something on top of that, and it made her look like she was being racist, and that's not the case.
Ooh.
And that took Twitter by storm like crazy, because they were like, oh, she did this on purpose. And it's like, no, she didn't. This was proven to be 2 redeems that chat did.
Right.
To just get her for no reason.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I would say is probably the worst thing about this. But other than that, everything else is pretty good.
Right. One thing that I definitely like, I never, thankfully, I mean, for obvious reasons, I've never really had to worry about hate raids. But like one story that I have in that regard is when I first started streaming, pretty much back in 2020, I want to say, I was streaming Fall Guys, right? Mm-hmm. And someone, and you know, I'm sure telling the story is like, oh, you're giving him attention. I don't care. This is a funny story in hindsight. But some asshole came into my, and I had no idea how Twitch worked at the time. So this is why now I wouldn't fall for this. But had somebody come into my Twitch thing and, you know, just kind of asking me questions, and like they went by the name. They forged the name. I knew that there was a streamer / content creator that went by the name of Laserbeam. They went by that name. I was thinking, I had no reason to doubt them. I just assumed that was, maybe this is one of those situations where, you know, these big streamers will find these small streamers and kind of, you know, help them out. But there was like this, it was a constant donation thing where like he would type in the chat like, this person donated $1, $10, $100, $10,000, and me being the naive young streamer that I was still like 25, but still it was like I was still a baby streamer. I just freaked out and was thinking, oh shit, is this my chance? This is my opportunity. Only to find out that it made sense that no, these were not real donations at all, because I didn't have anything that on Twitch that you could donate to. So it was, thankfully it wasn't like a chargeback scenario, but it was definitely a, hey, let's get this small streamer who has no idea what he's doing and let's make him really excited. Turns out this guy was screen capping my stream for his own stream, and everybody there was making fun of me because I was getting excited, and I was like, I went back and watched it and I was like, fucking asshole.
Well, you heard what happened to me in November, right?
No, what's up?
Oh god, okay, so I went to a con in Detroit, so I live in Detroit, and I go to YumaCon, and I took a picture with me and Necroviathan. We were just hanging out, and he had flew out from, you know, the West Coast to come hang out with us, and he, I posted a picture, and I was like, you know what, I'm feeling good in my cosplay, because I did a Trua cosplay, and, he was like, oh, you know, you should post these are great, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll post them. Now, I'm a bigger girl, like, I'm not gonna deny that, like, I am thick, that's why I call myself the thick whale, okay?
Right.
But, like, I am kidding. I kid you not. I was trending the next day on Twitter. Do you know how many people have to be talking about you to be trending?
A fucking lot.
Somebody had taken, like, screen capped my photo and put it on a hate website for bigger women. And so many people were, like, laughing at me, poking fun at me, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of it was just, you know, fake accounts. You could tell that are, like, hiding behind like a fake name, you know, like with a Transformer car and like, you know, Blue Crayon 64, you know, something like that.
What the fuck?
And it was just all accounts like that. And I, you know, and luckily the VTuber community like backed me up on this, but they were just like, and I wasn't posting anything. I was literally just saying like, hey, you know, if I can do this, you can too. And some of the comments were very nasty. But a lot of the VTuber community rallied for me, and they were just like, hey, you know, she's great, what are you doing? And then a lot of people just kind of started realizing, like, no, this is wrong.
What the fuck?
So I completely understand where that comes from, and I know how, you remember like when Dream did his face reveal?
Yeah.
Like, that was scary. Like, I felt genuine fear for that person.
Oh yeah, no, I have
Like,
I have no.
oh my god.
Yeah, like I have no idea what like he does. Like I know that there's a whole story.
He's just a YouTuber that, like, he never showed his face.
Right.
And so he did like a random face reveal, and everybody just kind of flipped out, and some people were like, "Oh, he's ugly," blah 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 blah. But it was to the point where like he was getting like death threats and stuff.
Right. Yeah. No.
And it's like, that's scary.
Yeah. Like it's one of those things where like if you were to ask me what like this because I know there's like a story behind Dream's streams. It's like the whole server thing that they do, but it's like if you ask me what it's about, I could not tell you. But I did know that I saw that and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with people? The same thing goes for. Are you on TikTok?
Yes.
Did you ever hear that? I forget his name now, but the one dude who did it, he made a video where it was admittedly it was a little bit cringe, but this was ridiculous. The guy who tried to audition for Saturday Night Live through TikTok.
Yes.
It's
yes.
Like, the song wasn't even that bad. Yes, it was a little bit cringy, but it's like it was not a bad song. These people were like dogpiling this guy. And I got super fucking scared for him because it was like he disappeared, and I was like, "What happened to him?" I think he's fine. I think I found he just decided to take some time off. But like, also when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, thankfully," you know. But it's like, damn, like some of that shit makes me not even want to like do this anymore because it's like, you know, it makes me feel like shit. Like people will find anything and just dogpile on you.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But that being said, though, so kind of going off of that, though, like, you know, this is a weird question for me to ask, so I'm going to try to find the best way to word it. So, what would you say is, like, the end goal for you? Like to elaborate, like, is there something in your career that, like, if it happened, that you could say, okay, if I had to end now, I would end happy? Like what? like what would you say? It's like kind of like is there a goal that you're going up towards, or is it more just kind of living it day by day, or?
Well, I definitely want to be more stable with income. I'm not saying I want to be famous, you know, because I mean, I don't have control over that, unfortunately.
Right.
But I will say, like, even if I don't get famous out of this, I just want to be considered one of the greats, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, when you hear VTubers, you think of Fifi, Shy Lily, Bao. You know, I want to be up there with that.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like, I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for inspiring people, because one of the things that I, like, live by is, like, one of the ways that we can generate change and be a positive force to everybody around us is if we teach others how to do that.
Right.
So it's like, it's kind of like a domino effect.
Yeah, no, of course. And that does make sense, because one thing a friend once told me, because I was talking to her about what my end goal was, right? And the way she worded it to me was, you don't want to be famous, you want to be... I don't remember how she worded it, but it was like, you don't want the fame, you just want the financial security. And...
security, but I want being well known, and I want to be respected.
Right. So it's not that you, because I think fame is a word that implies that it's a temporary situation, whereas what you want, if I'm not mistaken, tell me if I'm wrong, what you want is more steady, kind of like you don't want to just be the 15 minutes of fame. Like, you want to actually be known for long term.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I just, like I said, I just want to be one of the greats. You know, I want to be somebody that people remember and be like, oh, Trua, she was great. She was an amazing VTuber. You know, like,
right.
And I also have like a disability, like, doing all of this. So I feel like that kind of like, it sets me back a lot, and it makes it a lot harder for me, because there's a lot of VTubers out here that are doing the same as I do. You know, they have, you know, what's it called? Oh my god, long-term illnesses, if that makes sense. I don't remember the word for it, but they have those for life, and it's like there's a lot of VTubers out here that are able to do it without any issues, and I feel like those of us that have these issues, we're working just as hard, if not harder.
Right. So real quick, I do want to take a moment and acknowledge chat for a second. Thank you so much for the follow, Sukasa7. Appreciate you. Sukasa7 also said you both have my respect. I appreciate that. And then I'm sure the Trua does as well. Yeah, some people can be really shitty. I do agree with that. What's chat? Chat is a wormhole to another dimension.
Literal.
Yeah. So that being said, so in your career, you have probably gotten a fair share of advice from various people. I would imagine anyway. And I know some guests have said that they don't really listen to advice as much as the others. But I'm curious, can you tell me what the best advice you've ever received was and what it helped you to accomplish?
The best advice I ever received was, even when you think you're not doing well, don't give up. Because you might just be in a bad mental state. You might just be in a bad mentality. Put it down, go away, come back. Take some time for yourself. Because I notice sometimes we hyper fixate on certain things, and a lot of us are more perfectionists than we like to realize. And when we have that perfect vision in our head and it's not matching up to what's going on or what we're able to do, it gets us down. And a lot of the times, especially since we're VTubers and we live in such a society that's so heavy on social media and perfection, we strive for that. And a lot of the times, it's this is gonna sound weird, but a lot of the times we're looking to outdo what other people are doing, and it's hard to do that, especially when some people might be so limited with what they have as far as resources, knowledge, or whatever else. So just remember that to take it one day at a time. Take a step back, and whenever you are having issues, just don't get overwhelmed.
Right, 100% agreed on that front. One thing that I have always, at least for the last few years, tried to live by is the idea of not making decisions while you're mad. Because, I've been in a position where I have been mad about one thing or another, and I decide, okay, I'm done with everything. I'm going to just quit being creative. And I always regret it, And so anytime in the past where I have been I don't want to do this anymore, I tell myself, give it 12 hours. Wait until you're not sleepy. Wait until you're not hungry. Wait until you're not mad. And do you still want to do that? Then do it. But if not, which you probably, in most cases, I would argue that, you find that you don't, then, So it's definitely, I would definitely co-sign that for sure.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things that I've realized, especially just looking at other VTubers and just other streamers in general, I can kind of pick out, some issues that could be wrong, and some people that have come to me saying oh my god, I've been doing this for years and I'm just not growing, and it's maybe try tweaking this and this, right. And because I'm seeing it in my head and I'm okay, you need to definitely tweak this, and then you're gonna be good. And as soon as they make those changes, they're going great, everything's going great. But there'll be sometimes people that are, don't have, people like us to give that advice. So they're stuck and they're looking at those numbers. They're oh my god, I'm only getting 2 viewers. I should just quit. And it's it's sad, because it's everybody deserves to have that chance to, to get there, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah. And speaking of, I may need to get you to give me some advice while you're at it. But
of course,
I'll send you some stuff after we're done here. But that being said, no. So going back to chat, so Dragon Skull 509 said best advice I ever got was don't put your penis in that. It saved me a lot of money. Yeah, that's probably some good advice. I'm glad that you listened to them, because that's I'll just end it there, but you definitely should not do that. That being said, so going back, so that was kind of the last super serious question. The rest is kind of just picking your brain, kind of figuring out how you feel about certain things. So would you say, you said you went to cons, so would you say you're an anime fan?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that, going off of that, so if you, I ask this to every guest because I get a different answer every time, and I love it. Here's a scenario: you are on an island. you cannot leave for the rest of your life. You have one anime to pick from that you can watch repeatedly over and over again for as long as you are in existence on this island. What anime do you pick?
My Hero Academia.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Elaborate?
Well, I think the message behind it is really good. Because it starts with this kid who thinks he's not good enough. And I feel like we've all been there. You know, I feel like Deku beats himself up the way that we do in our brains. And Bakugo, it kind of does the same thing. More physically, though.
Right.
So it just doesn't help. And then All Might's kind of like the voice of reason saying, like, you can do this. You know? So it's kind of like, you know, if I'm on an island and I'm gonna survive, I mean, I'd want that.
No, yeah, that's definitely fair. I didn't expect it. I think the reason I didn't expect it is because, you know, they're with the My Hero fandom. Like, I love the manga, right, and I love the show. But it's that's one of the fandoms that, like, you see a lot of toxicity in, and I was just like taken aback at first. But that does make sense, and you're 100% right. It kicks and says Mikaku.
I love the whole like plus ultra thing is always like, take what you love or what you know, take all of your strength, and beyond that.
Right.
Which I think is super important for, especially just in everyday life, not necessarily just like with one specific aspect.
Right. Kingston says Mikaku City actors. I think I've probably talked to you about this. No, don't ever watch Mikaku City actors. Teacup says go Code Geass. Not a bad choice. Tsukasa7, you are brand new to this channel, but you have won my heart with Dot Hack. I'm just going to say that. Yumi Blicky, you're not dealing with a fandom on an island, though. That is also true. So that actually pokes a hole in that argument. So, okay, so the same question I want to ask, but about video games.
Okay. That's a hard one. Because I have so many video games that I play. So it would probably be either Minecraft or Animal Crossing.
Okay.
I love Animal Crossing.
Yeah, and see, both are really long term. You can play them indefinitely, so that does make sense that you would get a lot of enjoyment out of those for sure.
Yeah, it's not like a story game where like you play the story and you're like, oh god, I'm so sick of this.
Right. Let's see. Real quick. Kickson, I clearly remember you saying Mikaku City Actress is a masterpiece. Maybe once, 5 years ago, and then I realized it was garbage. Skasa7, I give you the hug, Ikikan, if you remember. I do not remember, and I'm so sorry. That sounds terrible, but I promise you, I mean no offense by it. That whole weekend is a blur. BioShock, very good choice. In it. So that being said, the going back to the question, I definitely relate. What have you been playing anything like lately, like new or old, that you kind of would like to shout out to the audience?
Oh god. Well, I've been playing a lot of Fortnite No Build. It's so fun.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that gets hate. It's like so much hate for no reason.
It's the only mode in that game that I can actually win at.
And see, that's a lot of things that people don't know, is that they think that they, you know, like, oh, they hear Fortnite and they're thinking, like, oh, they're still build. And there isn't. And it's so much better. And you get all the dances and all the skins with it. And it's amazing. And there's also more modes. There's not just no build. There's, you know, there's adventure modes where you can actually go kill zombies. Or, you know, there's different modes where, you know, you can actually build and do stuff and you don't necessarily have to do, like, Battle Royale style.
Right. Yeah, no, that's definitely... I haven't played it in a while, but like I think the last time I played it was really back during the Star Wars celebration last year. But like but I was having a lot of fun with it, and I think what got me to put it down for now is I realized that I was a dumbass and decided to link my Switch with a different Epic account, and I couldn't link it with my main account, and I was just like, what's the point of even playing if I can't build up on the same account, you know? But yeah, no, I want to get back into it. I just haven't yet.
I've also been playing a lot of 76.
Oh, really?
And I know that game gets a lot of hate too, but
so like,
I played it when I was working at GameStop and there was no NPCs or anything.
Right.
But they've added so many NPCs. They've added like events and a lot more stuff that you can do. Granted, it is still a little glitchy, but it's a lot of fun.
I think from like a couple weeks back, I got it on PS Plus and I was trying it, and I couldn't get into it. But I do I love Fallout, right? But it was just there's something about that one that I just had a hard time, and it wasn't really anything with the game itself. I think it was just the control scheme paired with the kind of the open-endedness of it. Because I'm not a huge MMO guy, but so it kind of felt like that feeling of like you have literally an infinite world to explore. I don't even know where to fucking start. So, so that being said,
and as far as MMOs go, New World is really good too.
Really? Okay.
I've been playing that one as well.
See, I recently jumped into FF14 for the first time, and that's the first MMO I've ever played, pretty much. And I'm actually kind of enjoying myself. I'm not playing it often or anything, because I'm trying to make the free trial last as long as humanly possible. But I was finding myself just kind of sinking into the world, which was nice.
It is a lot of fun, but I will say, as far as MMOs go, I played MMOs for a really long time. It's considered like the retirement home of MMOs. And I'll tell you why. It's a great game, especially if you like the Final Fantasy series and the lore and all that. I'm not interested in like the Final Fantasy series or lore, but I really do like MMOs in general, so I like the aesthetics.
Right.
The map sucks. But as far as that, but it's also just it's more or less like if you don't know the lore, you don't know the story, you're not a Final Fantasy fan, it's not gonna be for you.
Right.
Whereas like New World is new, and I'm not comparing the two, but recently I've been playing New World more than I have been Final Fantasy. And this game had just released like maybe a year or two ago, and so it's very new. And it's, granted, the character customization sucks, but the world is gorgeous.
Okay.
It's such a beautiful game. And the story is really good.
And is it free, or?
So you pay one downtime fee of $40, and then the game is free.
Oh.
You own the game.
So that's better.
You don't have to pay a monthly anything.
That's better than EverTrua. That's why I don't want to really play past the free trial, because I'm like, I don't really want to pay $15 a month or whatever.
And also updates are free as well.
Oh, yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll give it a shot. So this will be the last question. I won't keep you anymore, but I will ask you. I saw this and I had to ask. So on your Twitter recently, you did that 100 facts about you or whatever, and I was looking through that. And you are, and I quote, in your own words, an absolute slut for chocolate. So I have to ask you, what is your favorite chocolate?
I swear to God, I almost spit out my drink when you said that. Because I was like, that could be any question. Because somebody freaked out on there that I was like, they're like, oh, you used to work for a spy shop and you used to build spy equipment? I'm like, yeah, I did. And that's they all kind of freaked out about that and the chocolate, and I was like, oh God, which one is it? But yes, so my favorite chocolate, like, you know, if we're talking like, you know, like convenience store chocolate, I love Hershey's, I love York's, I love, you know, M&M's. But if I had, and Crunch Bars, but if I had to pick like, you know, bougie chocolate, I love like Godiva truffles.
Okay. See, I'm a basic bitch. Give me some Reese's with Reese's Pieces, and you get like you know the Reese's cups with the big old with the pieces like shoved in there.
I love you for that.
Shit is so good, but it's like
I forgot about that.
But it's so basic. It's just like, oh yeah, you got Reese's. Oh, good for you, you know. But the that and then also Crunch Bars are like my jam.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
it's that like crispy rice inside that just. I don't know. There's so much serotonin in that bite that it's just like,
for me, I think it's just because when I was a kid, I ate a lot of them, and it kind of has that connection back to childhood a little bit. No, so okay. So while we're on that chocolate, so like you said M&Ms, right? I gotta ask you because I don't know how like into current events you are, but like, have you heard of what's going on with the M&Ms lately?
No, what is it?
Okay, so I'm gonna try to make this. I'm trying to explain this without sounding like the dumbest fucking person on the planet, right? So last year, Tucker Carlson went on and started bitching about how the M&Ms were becoming less sexy, right? They changed their design, and some asshole, the Fox News guy went on and he was like, they're trying to make all the cartoon M&Ms less sexy, and it's like, fucking really, is this where we're at now? And
why do you want a fucking M&M, sir?
Well, we are sluts for chocolate.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Never mind. Carry on.
So that being said, so apparently that died down last year, and then this year they decided to do it again, and as a result, fucking Mars Company decided they were gonna retire the M&M characters and make it seem like it was directly because of this. And now it's very clear they're doing a fucking Super Bowl stunt, because now all the M&M characters are starting to become spokespersons for other candies and other companies.
Oh no!
And it's one of those things where it's like it's such a blatant, like, I see through what they're doing, but like everyone else is just like, whatever, let's just promote it. And I'm just like, But yeah, that's apparently what's going on, and I'm glad that, the Super Bowl is coming up so that we can just be done with it, but it's kind of like...
Speaking of which, do you have a team that you're voting for?
No, I don't really follow NFL stuff, honestly. And it's just because I went... the job before my last job, or the job before I had... or the job I had before this one, sorry, words. I kind of had to follow it because of, what I did. And so whenever I got rid of that job, I kind of just said, okay, no more of that. Just being a weeb full time, let's go. But what about you? Or are you a huge NFL person?
No, but like, here's the thing. So I used to play in marching band, and so I was kind of forced to watch football. But like my mom, she's not with me anymore, but she used to love football, and we used to make a big thing at our house, and my dad was never really into it, but she would make a big pot of chili, and so like every year we would just make chili for Super Bowl and just watch it, and it was so fun.
See, that sounds good, yeah.
I don't really have a favorite sports team, and my Michigan Detroit Lions, they will never get to a Super Bowl.
Right.
So I don't know who to vote for. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
I never know who's good.
There was a time when I tried to participate in fantasy sports, because I was more interested in I could possibly get some money out of this.
It's the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles this round.
Okay, so it's interesting, because isn't it the Patriots that normally makes it to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
And then I think didn't Brady retire for the 15th time, and so now he's I know some things, I just don't know everything.
Oh my god, yeah, for real. This is Tom Brady's third time retiring.
Right.
Dude, did you hear? Somebody literally, so he made a retirement post of him sitting on a beach, I think in Florida, and somebody went to that beach, that exact spot, and sold his sand that he sat on for $10,000. What the hell?
I'm done. I'm done with humanity. I'm done.
I'm logging out.
I'm canceling my subscription. Thank you. No, thank you. That's fucking ridiculous. I don't understand.
Insane.
Kickson says about the M&Ms. Don't tell me you've never had a bag of M&Ms and thought maybe. I have never once thought that.
Yeah, I can say that I haven't either.
But I mean, yes, we're sluts for chocolate, but not that.
Not like that.
Yeah. What teams are okay? Yeah, and then some of the NFL players doing a 4-day darkness getaway, like a sensory deprivation tank, maybe, or where is he going to be in a cabin for 4 days with only candles and food being delivered to him? So basically
that's interesting.
Basically a grid silence, a not getting off the grid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, that's. I think that's a little bit more understandable than the sand story. I think that everyone could benefit. Every single person watching, listening, you, me, we could all benefit from a 4-day darkness retreat.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's something therapeutic about just Xing out of Twitter and Facebook. In fact, I'm actually thinking about trying to set it so that every time I go live, there's an auto tweet so that I can just not get on Twitter anymore.
Yeah, for real.
But because this honestly, the site it's getting to me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, and you know, to avoid getting onto a huge conversation about Musk, it's just it's him. It's he's the drama, and I'm done.
Yeah, 100%.
But anyway, so that being said, I won't keep you anymore, Trua, but I do appreciate you for sitting with me and talking to me about just a whole bunch of really cool stuff. I'm going to let you have the floor if you would like to promote yourself, any projects you're working on, anything like that. It's all you.
Thank you so much well, first off, I want to say thank you for this opportunity. You've been such a delight to work with, not even just today, but just in general. You're an amazing person, a great content creator, and I'm just so thankful to have met you. I'm glad our paths aligned. But also, my 1 year of streaming is coming up in 10 days, so I am doing a subathon. It's going to be uncapped, and I am raising money for... my end goal is to get a body pillow.
Ooh.
Or like a booba mouse pad, and just basically more art. I am going to be paying off my new live 2D model. This is going to be my first official live 2D model, because the models that I've bought, that I've had, are not my custom models.
Right.
My first model was, because it was a Vroid, and I had made that one myself. But this one, I'm so happy to have like a face attached to the name, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I'm so stoked. But that's pretty much it, and I'm super excited. My other thing that I do want to say is for Valentine's Day, I'm doing a Bloody Valentine collab with Kitty McPancakes, Stitches the Clown, and Mellowhead.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be super fun.
Yeah, that sounds like you got yourself some pretty fun collabs coming up, and
yeah.
you know, by all means, I definitely am open to doing more. Once I get back to streaming on a regular basis, you know, maybe we should plan something. You know, whether it's the rest of Doki Doki or whatever have you, but
yeah, please let me know.
I would love that. But